Have you ever felt like life just keeps throwing you curveballs, making your planning routine near on impossible? If so, you are not alone, because in this episode, I'm going to share how I'm currently navigating a similar situation, and I'll provide the tips and strategies that I'm using to help me stay reasonably organised when things don't quite go as planned. So let's get to it. Hey there, planner friend. If you're new around here, I'm Chloe and I'm the creator behind this YouTube channel. And I recently had this comment, on one of my YouTube videos. And it is such a great comment because I'm kind of going through a similar thing myself at the moment. You see, I loves me a beautifully planned week. I love having a mission for my week. I love to get up in the morning before everybody else, pull out my daily insert, time block my day, see where I can fit in a nice juicy deep work session that's going to help me achieve what my mission is for the week, like having a project planned for the month, all of that kind of stuff. And at the moment, I've had a situation, shall we say, thrusted upon me, because it is definitely not of my own choosing. Like, I wouldn't choose this situation for myself, but it is the one that I find myself in where it's very reactive. Like, when the phone rings, I have to respond, I have to stop what I'm doing and like task switch like crazy. And it's caused me to have a wobbly moment, shall we say, like a bit tearful about it all and upset and feeling like almost like a fraud, because my YouTube channel is meant to be about planning and I kind of feel like I ain't planning nothing right now. Do you know what I mean? So when this comment came up, I'm like, oh, where are the spies who are like in my head reading my thoughts kind of thing? But also it highlighted to me that actually there are things that I'm doing. There are tips and strategies that I've come up with that from having my wobbly moment and having to like piece myself back together and think, okay, how can I make this work? Because this is the situation, like it is what it is for the foreseeable future, well, for the next few months. And I've just got to make the best of it. Like when life starts throwing those lemons at me, I got to learn to juggle. So these are the things that I've been doing. This is what we can do when life just feels like it's throwing curveballs and you can't stick to a planning routine in the way that you would like. My first tip is from having my own little wobble is to be kind to yourself and look for the positives. And this isn't meant to be some kind of Pollyanna toxic positivity of everything's great. This is trying to find where the positives are each day. I have I keep a gratitude journal, and this is where I will log little things that have happened. Like at the end of the day, I will log little things that have happened over the course of the day that have just been like the lighter side of light, the lighter side of life, the brighter things. And sometimes they are as silly as the way that the clouds looked in the sky as I was driving, because I do a lot of driving at the moment, so a lot of them are focused around driving and yummy Sunday meals, but those are the positive things. So be kind to yourself, try and find some of the positives, because not because we're burying our heads in the sand, first up, we're not doing that, but sometimes it's very easy to dwell on the negatives. Like I know that I will dwell on negative things and end up in that kind of circular thinking of my situation and how crappy it is, and that's no bueno. So we don't want to do that. We want to break those and just remind ourselves that something good happened today. Like we were fortunate enough to capture an amazing sunset because of our situation. So that's the first thing. Now, the next one is you've got to remember that those skills, the skills that you've developed to become someone who loves planning, has a planning routine, those skills are always going to be there. When I first started getting into trying to use a planner, and I've shared this before, I spent the first 3 years failing miserably and feeling like a massive failure. And it wasn't until I learned that I needed to develop the habit of using a planner that things started to slot into place. And what that meant was that I had to pare things back to the bare basics of what I needed to get planned. And that kind of leads us nicely to the next thing that I'm doing, which is paring things back to the basics. For me, how that looks is I'm currently making my daily inserts and my weekly inserts, what I call my FWFs, which is fair weather friends. And what I mean by that is, in this season, trying to do daily planning and weekly planning is not my friend. Like, that only works for me when I'm not in this reactive situation where things are constantly changing. If I try and do the daily planning and the weekly planning, and then all of a sudden I've got to go and do something different, then it's almost like there's this thing called and I'm probably going to pronounce this badly, so I will put the word on screen. It's the Zeigarnik effect, where basically our brains are designed to remember unfinished or incomplete tasks rather than completed ones, which makes sense. Like, if you've completed something, you don't need to remember to do that task. It's like, and I've heard this was a study that was done where waiters and waitresses, they can literally store, like, their brains become attuned to storing what people have ordered and what table it is and what have you. But as soon as they can recall that information, but as soon as they have deposited that meal or drinks or what have you to the table, like, their brain instantly forgets that information. And that was a study that was done, or it's a study that I heard was done on the internet. So I don't know how true that is. I should probably fact check that. But the fact remains that studies have been done into this, and I will pop a link below, where the Zeigarnik effect means that we are more likely to remember things that we haven't completed. And what that actually does is cause almost like a background anxiety, like a low level, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you've got stuff that you haven't finished, and by having these like daily and weekly plans in my planner, where I've had to just drop them to react to the curveball that's been thrown at me, shall we say, that was kind of stressing me out. So I had to stop using my dailies and weeklies just for this season. So what am I doing instead? How am I still staying organized? How have I, other than, the trying to be positive and be kind to myself and breathe and it will all be over soon kind of thing, how am I actually staying organized and trying to salvage some kind of planning routine? Well, I'm actually using monthly inserts. They are what I rely on at the moment, because I know that there are certain things in my diary that I can't not do, and I have to try and work my curveballs around the plans that I've already got. So being able to plan out my month, do all of my future planning, lock in all of appointments, meetings, dates, important dates, all of that kind of stuff, having that all locked in on a monthly insert kind of removes some of that background anxiety of firstly feeling like I'm not planning anything. Like, I can see when I open up my monthly insert, I can see that I certainly am planning stuff. Like, there is stuff happening. Another feature of my monthly setup is that I've got a calendar grid page, which I'll bring up on the screen now, which is great for little icon stickers. I feel like I'm a broken record, because I feel like I say this a lot, but if you're new around here, you probably haven't heard me say this, which is I love mini icon stickers just to place down on the days where I've got important things happening, or I've booked myself onto a wreath making workshop. Yeah, I've always wanted to make a wreath, so trying to again work in the positives, and that's something that hopefully I'm not going to miss because a curveball gets thrown at me, but we'll see. I'm trying to just be fluid and know that if I have to, I might have to cancel it, but whatever, stop waffling, Chloe, get back to the program. So we've got like the calendar grid, I call it a calendar grid view, where I will stick down my mini icon stickers so I can get very quickly a visual idea of what my month is looking like. And then on the opposite side I have, and I will just show a I don't even have a blank one because, like I said, I've been like future planning to the maxing out the future planning because that's like my friend at the moment. But yeah, I will find a reasonably blank calendar list view, and this is, I'd say, very similar to, or probably the same as how you might see it in a Buju setup where people will list out the days for the month and then write in the things that they need to do. So I really like that idea from bullet journaling. So I've incorporated that concept into my planner, and it just helps me to list things out and have like the nitty gritty of details and times and stuff. So I have this clear grid view of just cute little icons. Oh my gosh, so sweet. Which just, yeah, visually feels less messy than looking at this long list and being like, oh, I don't know where to focus on first, sort of thing. So yeah, let's move on from the monthly insert. If the first thing is thinking about how we can strip things back to basics, and for me that was, as I said, getting rid of daily inserts and weekly inserts and just focusing on making the most out of my monthly insert and having those important dates, meetings and what have you sort of planned in there. The next thing is looking at how we can make things easy. Like, how can we let things be easy during this season of curveballs and still feel like we're achieving stuff and we're making plans and we've got some kind of planning routine? Well, for me, what I've done, I really love this because it still feels like I'm being organised and I'm being like a planning kind of person, is back into my monthly. I've actually created what I call a sticky note planner. You're probably like, what the heck is a sticky note planner? Like, how do you have a planner that's sticky notes? Like, what? Yeah, I just came up with the name on the fly because it kind of describes exactly what it is. And it is essentially and I don't know if this camera is going to focus on it. Let's try. I might need, I don't know. Ooh, help. No, that's probably not going to work. There we go. I've created a sticky note with today. Oh no, it did just focus. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at that. Is it focusing? So I've created these set of sticky notes called today's top 3. And as you can see, there's room to write the date on. So instead of having like waking up in the morning, sitting down with my daily insert and time blocking out my day, instead I'm just turning to this today's top 3, putting a date on there, and the 3 things are, and they're kind of based on the Eisenhower matrix. So anyone that's familiar with Stephen Covey's work and the priority matrix, it's basically a 4-quadrant diagram where you've got in one quadrant important and urgent tasks. The next quadrant, you've got important but not urgent tasks. So the first one is usually like firefighting, things that have come up, things that have got deadlines. That would be the important and urgent. Important but not urgent are usually, they're the tasks that are things where you're working towards a goal or a project. So it doesn't necessarily have a deadline, but it is still important. The next one is not important but urgent, and these are usually other people's priorities, let's face it. And then finally we've got in the 4th quadrant not important and not urgent, which is just like, oh, why are we even bothering or wasting time talking about it? So now that we've got that out of the way, rather than just have like this quadrant thing and it feel kind of like, oh, I'm writing stuff in this quadrant and this quadrant, I want it to be super focused. We're just focusing on the 3 things for today. And the first one is obviously going to be the thing that is important and urgent because it usually has a deadline attached to it and it needs to get done. Someone's waiting on something, you've got to pay something, you've got to book something before the spaces run out, whatever it is. So the first spot, the number 1 spot, is jotting down something that is important and urgent for the day. The next spot is something that is important. So number 2 task for the day is important but not urgent. So if you don't get it done, it's no big deal because it wasn't urgent for today. It was important and it would be great to have got it done, but the world isn't going to stop just because you didn't do it. So for me, that's usually like recording this YouTube video. full disclosure, this is yesterday's sticky note. I wanted to record this video yesterday. I didn't quite get to it because the light in here can be crazy bright when the sun is out, and I made a whole bunch of excuses why not to do it, like it's a Monday and it tipped it down with rain first thing and then the sun came out, blah blah blah. So anyway, yeah, as you can see, it didn't get ticked off. And then the final one, number 3, is just for me, and this is really important because I recently did a session of guided self-help, and what it highlighted to me that during this season where I've got these curveballs being thrown at me, I am focusing just on the things that are important and urgent, just the things that I have to react at in that instant, like the firefighting things, and I'm deeming everything else as, oh, it's not important, so it doesn't matter, so we're not even going to consider it or think about it. So there was a lot of stuff where it's like anything that I'm doing just for me, not important, and if I get to it, I get to it. But what that highlighted to me also was the importance of actually trying to plan it in, even if it's just something small, like saying my just for me thing is going to be, I'm going to take a 20-minute walk around the block just to clear my head, just to move my body, just to do something for me, maybe pop a podcast or an audiobook in my earbuds and just take that 20 minutes for me and have that as something that's meant to be nourishing for me, like fulfilling for me. And I decided to put that on there instead of one of the other priority matrix things, which frankly we've just covered, like are usually other people's priorities, not yours. Therefore, is it really that important to you? No, it's not. And the not important and not urgent is, well, why are we even thinking about it? And not to put the things that are just for you, like the self-care, like, and when I say self-care, I'm not talking like leisurely bubble baths with a glass of champagne. Like, we always instantly think of self-care as this thing of pampering yourself in a bath, and sometimes self-care for me on this sticky note, as you can see, it was junk journaling. I don't know if it's going to focus on that now without something to stop it focusing on me, but it was junk journaling in my gratitude journal, which I'll pop on screen now so you can see. Like, just spending 20 minutes doing that, I find it really relaxing. So it's really important each day that when you are having these curveballs being thrown at you, you are taking these moments to look for ways in which you can top your cup back up, and don't think that it has to be leisurely bubble baths with champagne. Like, it could just be, I'm going to take 20 minutes, bring myself a nice cuppa, cheers my dears, and call up my buddy, and we're going to have a good old chat, and I'm going to like just download and make my friends sit in the mud with me, which, yeah, I've done that a few times in this season. These sticky notes, first up, oh my gosh, you guys, I freaking love these sticky notes. So I've created like a template, like printing on sticky notes, so easy, so satisfying. So if you do have a printer and you want to do these sticky notes, there's even like a template for doing like reminders for the day. Again, let's just do that so you can see a little list, so you can have like reminders that you might want to set for the week. And these are templates that you can download. You take your blank stickies, stick them on the template, run it through the printer with your chosen design, and boom, you've just printed yourself some stickies. I'll record a video about it if you want. Let me know. Shall I record a video? I probably will anyway, because I've like set myself a challenge of recording weekly YouTube videos, and I'm kind of falling behind. So that can be one of my videos because it's like really easy. So moving on from the sticky note planner. There's got to be a better name. Don't know. The second thing that I'm doing in order to let things be easy is utilising rinse and repeat routines where I can reduce some of that cognitive burden. And the first one for me was in my weekly, RIP weekly. Oh no, it's not RIP because they're still there. I'm going to come back to my weeklies when I'm out this season. But what I used to like to do on my weekly inserts would be to do meal planning, because it's really like when you have a family of 3, it is stressful when you get to 5 o'clock and you've got no plan for dinner. So at the start of the week, usually on a Saturday, which I know isn't technically the start of the week, but for me it's when I want to do my food shop, I will sit down and create a plan for meals, and I do that in my weekly insert. Well, I'm not using a weekly insert, so what I'm doing at the moment as part of my rinse and repeat routines is just having kind of a set cycle of meals that I go through each week. And again, that was kind of like, oh, this doesn't feel right to me, because I like to maybe experiment and cook something different one week. But at the moment, I'm just having a lot of kind of ready meals, which I know, again, that doesn't sit right with me. But honestly, they are a saviour when you don't know what's coming at you. Just knowing that in your freezer, you've got something that you can chuck on, you haven't had to think about it, and everyone gets fed and it's not too stressful. That's really helped. And just having a bit of almost like a laundry list of, okay, I'm going to go to this bunch of meals that we could have this week, and just listing out the things that we could have, and if we have to fall back on a takeout or what have you, just to make life even easier so I don't have to cook or wash up. That's what we've been doing. So that's another way in which I've been letting things be easy. And another thing that I'm doing is I'm even applying rinse and repeat routines to my wardrobe, because ain't no one really paying attention to whether I've worn this cardigan for 2 or 3 days in a row. And if I can just hang it up at the end of the day and pick up the same outfit and put it on the next day, it reduces some of that mental, like cognitive burden of having to think, what am I going to do? So I'm not saying you need to do like a rinse and repeat meal planning or outfit rotations, but just think, are there any ways in which you can utilize this rinse and repeat mindset so that you're just turning to a list and hitting play, so that you're freeing up your brain to be able to focus on other things like self-care. But remember, it's not the bubble bath type of self-care. And please guys, share the love. If you're going through a similar sort of thing where you're in this season of having curveballs thrown at you and you're having to react in the moment, and you're kind of not able to do your planning routine in the way that you would like, but you've found some little workarounds that you're using, share it in the comments below. Share the love, because what I've said might not resonate with some people, but your comment might be the one that actually changes someone's outlook for their current season. So please share the love, spread the joy. And if you want the sticky notes and the YouTube video of how to print on sticky notes, then I'll pop it in the description once it's ready. Sticky notes will be ready by the time this goes live, as long as I don't have okay, that was just a joke. I just had to, because you know, curveballs and whatnot, I have to make light of the situation, because if you don't laugh, you cry. Bye for now. Plan a friend. Bye.